It's not just a clickbaity title this time, I really don't care about Peter, Emma, or Sean. Anytime I utter any of the three's names, someone will always comment about how they hate that Emma and Sean got broken up, how Emma didn't end up with Sean, and Peter was just the absolute worst, and everyone who Emma has ever dated except for Sean was the worst. And while I don't think that literally everyone Emma has dated other than Sean is the worst, I also don't necessarily disagree. Emma's other relationships didn't work because they just weren't that great. But isn't that the point of dating? Trying to find who works and who doesn't? And yeah, of course Peter was terrible. He was really actually the worst when he was introduced and throughout most of season 6. No, it doesn't make sense that Emma was still into Peter given what he did to her best friend, but infatuation doesn't work on logic. Why is it that people are able to ignore clear red flags when they're getting into a relationship with someone? It's because oftentimes when you start a relationship or are looking to begin one, you're looking with your heart and not your mind. And because we're separated from the situation, we can see things clear as day that Peter is not a good guy. But yeah, all in all, I don't care about this love triangle and the eventual end of Semma. I actually really get tired of discussions, or more like shouting into the void how much we hate that this happened. But there's a few particular reasons why Peter, Emma, and Sean don't bother me as much as say Crew does. For one, even though people love to argue about how it's totally not the case or irrelevant, Peter was good for Emma in at least helping her to recover from her anorexia. That's just a fact. No matter what he did afterwards or before that, he was still there for Emma during it. I'm also not bothered by any of this because none of the characters involved were actually broken to make it happen. While Claire and Drew's characters had to be completely rewritten to have sex on the first date, as one would expect of Emma, she dumped Peter's ass as soon as she realized what he did to Sean. And it was also clear that Peter hadn't grown up yet, so it was only a matter of time before he does something stupid and tests the bounds of his relationship with Emma. And then even later on, when Emma and Sean got together and broke up again when he was going into the army, all of that makes sense. Ever since we met Sean, he's been trying to find his place in the world. And once working at the auto shop didn't seem to pan out, he was kinda at a loss of what to do. But the army presented itself as a golden opportunity. Give him some real life work experience and training so then he can actually attain the goals that he has in mind for his future. And this is something he feels like he has to do, so no matter how much he loves Emma, he has to chase his own path. Because he knows he's not going to be happy trying to look for a trade school or take the route that Emma wants him on. And long distance relationships are hard, so it's not difficult to imagine situations or there'd be times where Emma might want something a little closer to home. Not only that, but when you've got two people so far away, it's very easy for them to both grow in different directions. And I think that's what was going on with Emma and Sean. Emma had this big plan that would eventually involve her and Sean creating a family, her going to university, him getting back into school, but the army kind of ruined that. And through trying to rediscover herself, she found that she needed something that Sean couldn't offer from so far away, especially because she was now growing in a different direction from Sean. And even though they split up, I have no doubt in my mind that the two care for each other deeply. They'll always be the one who got away for each other. But another reason why I'm not bothered by any of this is because I'm certain they're going to be back together in the future. Yes, Emma married Spinner, that's a thing that I recognize as had happened in canon, and while the circumstances of it happening were a bit of a stretch, I think there was a chance that Emma and Spinner could have worked out. I mean, there's a non-zero amount of people who actually found arranged marriages benefited them. And we also live in a non-draconian time where if you feel like that your spouse isn't working out for you, you can divorce them. You're not stuck with them for life. But with this, I'm going to have to agree with Miriam McDonald and Shane Kibble. Emma and Spinner divorced at some point, probably sometime after that episode in season 2 of Next Class. I also agree with them that Spinner and Emma are co-owners of the Dot, which is kind of cool. But I think after all of that marriage and divorce and trying to rediscover yourself, Emma and Sean found each other again. As I said, them breaking up isn't necessarily the end of them. It would seem to me that both still loved each other, just circumstances separated them. And I know for a fact it's possible in real life to do such a thing because I watched my former bosses do it. When I lived in Illinois, I used to work in an office in Chicago owned by a woman and her husband. But this was neither of theirs first marriage. Hell, it wasn't even her second marriage. Both of them fell in love early on, but for various reasons they were kept apart and ended up marrying different people. For a very long time they fell out of touch, but many years later, they found each other again, and by that point he had divorced his first wife, and her second husband had died, having divorced her first one. And by the time they found each other again, they were well into their 60s, nearly 70. But you know what they did? They got married. And kind of like in fiction, even though they'd been separated for many years, when they were reunited, they found that they still love this person, even though they've changed a bit, but they both changed in just the right way. And this is what I imagined for Sean and Emma, though maybe not so far into the future where they're in their 70s when they finally get married. Even when we left them in Degrassi Takes Manhattan, both characters were in a point of discovery and growth. And considering how many times they broke up and got back together, I have no doubt in my mind that they'll find each other again. And once they're more settled into who they are and where they want to go, I'm certain that it's going to work out for them. And yeah, all this to say, I don't care how much you hate Spemma or Pemma or any of the other combinations that Emma has had in her days, because as I said, what happened doesn't break any of the characters, and in the end, you know Sean and Emma are going to end up together. It's a foregone conclusion, even if we haven't seen it on TV yet. Thank you very much for consuming this video. If you'd like to talk to me about just about anything, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. You can find me at NotAVampyre. Thank you very much again, and until next time. Scooter, why are you taking a bath? I'm trying to record a video. Silly cat. You're very clean though.